Hello everyone, this is Troy Swope, founder of Footprint. Footprint is a technology company aimed at eliminating single-use plastics. How I got here, I'm originally from Intel. I spent 15 years developing semiconductor technologies. In the last 8 years, I was running a materials organization, and we saw significant impacts of plastic outgassing on wafers. So I started, when I sit at home and my wife would bring home groceries, I'd see this mountain of groceries in plastic, and I've seen a lot of it in fruit. And I started thinking about all the outgassing that was happening on that fruit. And I started thinking about the human health impacts on that. So I grabbed a lot of really smart people and said, let's go address this problem, develop technologies that allow retailers and big brands to eliminate single-use plastic. So what is the plastic problem? I think it's obviously a pollution problem, and we need to come up with solutions for the immediate pollution issue. But I think you're all discovering today, and you're going to help educate the world on it. It's a health crisis. And I think for the most people I talk to, they think the health crisis with plastic is opening clamshells on Christmas morning, where we're jabbing ourselves with scissors and knives. The reality is that we're getting the data and we're understanding more and more, like, why is there such an increase in type 1 diabetes? I have a young daughter, 13 years old, that was diagnosed 3 years ago with type 1 diabetes. And since 1950, plastic production has gone up 200%, and type 1 diabetes has doubled every 20 years since then. I didn't know anybody with type 1 diabetes, yet my daughter has 10 classmates with type 1 diabetes. So I think we're all getting that data, and hopefully there's more data today that we can share with consumers and share with retailers and brands, that there's far greater issue than a pollution problem with plastic. So when I talk to consumers and retailers and even friends, and they go, Troy, you're often using this term sea of plastic. Are you talking about the great garbage patch? And the reality is there is a physical sea of plastic that's hard to see in the ocean, but there is one, right? But I think of it differently, and I try to paint a vision for my team, is that the sea of plastic is when we walk into a grocery store and we see everything from laundry detergent to milk to dairy to meat trays to ready-to-eat meals to our bakery, everything's in plastic. So how do we escape the sea of plastic, right? So number one is that there's big brands out there making change. We need to reward them by buying their product, right? So when we see a Nestle product that is now in fiber or even glass or aluminum, we reward them by buying that product, right? When they see those sales, that the sales don't change or the sales actually increase by making a better packaging decision, they'll drive change faster. In addition to that, we got to provide them, technology companies like Footprint and other technologies, got to provide them with solutions that are cost effective, that equal the same product performance, because certainly we can't impact food shelf life or food spoilage. Two things, right? We got to help drive the change by rewarding brands that are making the right decisions, and then we got to provide the technology that enable them to make those decisions. So how is Footprint helping, right? So we are certainly a technology company that's providing those solutions. We are a clear leader. We have over 85 patents filed, 16 issued, over 4,000 invention disclosures globally. So in number one, we think about, we can't impact the end of life scenario, right? So we want compostable, we want biodegradable, we want recyclable, we want marine degradable. As I mentioned earlier, we have to develop the technologies for the brands, right? So these brands can make a change, right? And those technologies have to be cost effective or cost neutral to plastic today long term, and they have to provide the same performance, so the same shelf life. We can't impact food spoilage. So Footprint is developing the technologies that have the equal shelf life and are looking at long-term economics that are better than plastic. So companies like Footprint, we have to develop the technologies that enable the brands to get out of plastic, because today they feel trapped. So my parting thoughts, I really wish I was there. I love the data and information that's coming out. I think number one is when we get this data and this information, we got to get it out to consumers so that consumers are educated. And then when consumers are educated on what's really happening, what's the damaging health impacts of plastic, they can go to their favorite brands and say, change, you have to change. And then that may be part that we're driving legislation as well. But we have to get to the brands and say, I will not buy your product that's in this packaging. Well, everyone, I wish I was there with you, but I thank you very much for the time and an opportunity to speak with you. I look forward to meeting most of you over the next couple years as we're on this journey together.
Next speaker is Susan Koehler, and she's the Chief Sales and Marketing Officer of Footprint.
Thank you. I just wanted to add 3 comments to this video. Number 1, our job is to create innovative products. That is what we care about day in, day out. We're an engineering firm. So we see the data that you've presented today. We've been looking at it over this last 6 months in particular. But Troy had that vision, as he said, 5 years ago. He made that correlation because he was seeing this plastic leaching onto the silicon chips when he was at Intel as a materials engineer. The second thing is, we will, as Troy said, continue to work with CEOs of food companies, grocery stores, and also consumer products companies. That's critical. We have to get that sea of change out of the grocery store plastic. And the way to do it is not only working with the sustainability managers and the packaging managers within those companies, but also working with the C-level. Once the C-level agrees, change is so much quicker. The third point is we want to work with you. We're up against a $4 trillion plastics industry. No one of us will have the only solution. Only together, united, can we make that difference and create the change we need. I think the question I have is, 7 months from now is the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, so April 22nd, 2020. So we've got 7 months till that day. What could we do if we could all work together and synchronize the scientific data, synchronize the NGOs, synchronize the various solutions you're going to see today and others, so that consumers around the world know not only the issues, the problem that exists, but have the hope of the future, knowing that there are solutions. So today I just wanted to share a couple of our products, and I can meet with anybody later. Some of them you saw in there, but one of my favorites is the biodegradable, marine degradable, compostable 6-ring, right, for beer cans, sodas. Thank you. Another of the produce containers. These can be reused and brought back to the grocery store. The shelf life gets extended of the produce and there's less waste. So when we're meeting with top companies and they hear that data, they're very excited to change. So the consumer's going to win, they're going to win in the end. We also have shelf-stable cups that we're developing. And my printer partner is actually here today. Our ability to print directly on these fiber cups with food-grade inks is another innovation. The last two of the last ones I want to show, these are some of the meat trays that we shared. We worked with Beyond Meat, and a variety of other companies, some of the largest chains in the world and in Europe also, right here. And then the straws that we have, paper straws. I'm sure you've seen some press about paper straws aren't good. Those are not the ones manufactured in the U.S. and North America that have, FDA laws, et cetera. Our paper straws are extremely strong, and I hope that you'll try some of those. And again, our manufacturer that we work with on the machines are actually based right here in the Netherlands. The last thing I want to touch on is you heard earlier this issue about paper cups. Paper cups actually have a plastic liner. You probably know that and you heard it earlier, but almost all consumers do not know that. When we go out and we do our consumer research, they're shocked when they see that seam and they look inside and the paper cup is torn apart and they see that plastic liner. This is one of those times when there's a very easy visual for consumers to understand, and we're going to be working with the Ad Council and bringing that messaging out to consumers. This cup we just debuted, this is a seamless all-fiber cup, so all those words you heard, marine degradable, compostable, biodegradable, recyclable, all just made out of fiber. This is in test with the largest coffee companies in the world right now, and it's also in test with the largest quick service restaurants, so like fast food. And we're very proud of this. This just got introduced in the Next Gen Cup Challenge, which was hosted by IDEO and Closed Loop, and many funders like Starbucks was in that, McDonald's was in that, trying to drive change. So there are companies out there trying to drive and support change like this. I think the last thing I want to say is, when you look at consumer data, 80% of consumers say they will hold manufacturers accountable for change. They want them to create change in this world of confusion and products that aren't meeting their needs on a human level or in terms of the ocean and the earth. The second thing is, they said that basically 70% of them are willing to pay what it takes and make personal change in order for us to not harm the environment any longer. I think both of those statistics are really important. I think the last two I want to leave you with is in terms of the current paper cup, which has a plastic liner, 70% of consumers put that in the recycle bin because they have no idea there's a plastic liner. So that's a really important myth that we've got to break. And the other statistic is, you've got 60% of people right now buying organic, yet we heard many people say it today. Is it really organic when you surround it by plastic? It's not. But they don't understand that chemical leaching right now. So in closing, I just want to say we are proud to be here. We are proud to be a sponsor. We will continue to innovate. We're an engineering-driven company. And together with other solutions and your help, I think 7 months from now, on the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, we will be able to truly turn that tide and have that tipping point of helping people all over the world understand they can take an action and make a change, and that there are a lot of people and thought leaders like ourselves, scientists, companies, NGOs, that truly day in, day out are doing whatever they can to innovate to make a difference for them. Thank you.